Hello, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Back in the office today recording, over the next couple weeks, we're going to have the opportunity to actually do some interviews, and I think some pretty cool content coming your way on this particular podcast. I think that'll bring you value definitely beyond what I can bring. On today's podcast, we're going to talk on the topic of don't eat the fruit. Don't eat the fruit. And what I talk about here is thinking about the fruit of our labor, the fruit of our businesses. And you think, and this is an analogy that you may have heard in different forms, but I kind of want to jump into this a little bit. You think about a tree or a plant. Think about that tree or that plant being maybe the skill set that you have, a business that you have. And you think of that tree or that plant, it needs to be cultivated. It needs water. It needs sunshine. You think about water being investing in yourself, improving your skill set, bringing along the right team members, doing the things that allow for your business to grow or allow for you to grow as the owner of your business. Think of the sunshine being that of self-care, making sure that we're getting the proper amount of sleep, getting the rest that we need. And it's in that environment that tree or that plant can grow. And from that, if we're properly cultivating that tree or that plant, it should provide us some fruit, basically being the fruit of our labor. And within that fruit, maybe you think of an apple, for example. Part of that apple can be eaten. Part of that apple, basically almost the entire apple can be eaten. But that apple also includes seeds. And so when we go through, many times business owners, they go through and they take the fruit of their labor, the fruit of their business, and they consume it all. They're just like maybe many of the employees in their business or a lot of just people in general in society kind of living from paycheck to paycheck. They produce, they consume it all. If we're going to be successful in our business, especially in the mid to long term, we're really going to have to make sure that we are cultivating our tree, cultivating that plant properly, but also making sure that we are handling the fruit correctly. Of course, from some of the fruit of our business, we're going to have to operate our business. So if you think of that apple, we're going to have to take some of that fruit. We're going to have to consume it. Now, we're not going to want to consume the whole thing. We're not going to want to consume all the fruit, but we are going to need to consume some of it. We're going to have to be able to pay our employees. We have to be able to pay ourselves. And then hopefully we're able to do different things with the seed and with some of the excess fruit besides consuming it all. And I'll talk about that a little bit here as we move through this podcast. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with kind of basic personal financial principles, right? Kind of go through and you think of after, the employer takes the tax money out of my check and they remit it, they do what they need to. From there, you take the rest of your money and you have a budget. So much of your budget, maybe 60% of your budget goes toward living expenses. Hopefully you're saving a portion of it, maybe it's 10%. Giving a portion of it, I think for most people, a minimum level of giving should be at least 10%. And then we're investing a portion of it as well. Maybe that's through your company's 401k program, or maybe you have IRAs or other areas that you invest. And so you can basically take that post-tax money and you allocate it into different areas. And if we're going to be successful in our personal finance and the personal finance aspect of our life, we're going to have to do this type of thing. If we spend 100% of our post-tax money, something comes, we have a medical emergency, we end up with a flat tire, the car breaks down, we end up with these types of issues, then all of a sudden we're scrambling. We've got to go into debt to be able to pay for the things that we need. So ideally, we want to make sure that we're budgeting correctly, we're saving, we're giving, and then we're investing all within the money that we receive when we go through and we're working for somebody else. Many of these same principles can be applied into our business. Businesses can take a similar approach. Just last week, I had the opportunity, my son Ben, who's behind the camera, who shoots the podcast for us here, and he and I had the opportunity to go out and spend a week out in Utah, and I had some business engagements out there. Also had the ability to go to I think one of the best masterminds in the country. It's primarily 7- and 8-figure business owners in that particular room, and they had a speaker up there. He was the youngest man who ever had taken individual who had ever taken a company public. And his name, if I remember correctly, was Dan Fleischman. And he got up there and he talked about this principle of how to invest your money. And he had percentages kind of wrapped around it. And on the drive back that evening from the event, for the place where we had the event back to the hotel, allowed for my son and I to kind of talk through some of what he talked about. And I think when it comes to our businesses, having those percentages within our business, not just within how we spend our money, but also in this talk, he talked about how we invest and allocate percentages across that investment piece of it as well. But I think within our businesses, we need to take a similar approach. We should budget. We should have a budget within our business. And I have recorded a podcast in the past as far as what that looks like in regards to budgeting within our business. And that budget within our business should include our owner's salary, making sure you're taking a reasonable salary out of your business and one that makes sure that it takes care of whatever your personal expenses are. I know we've recorded a couple podcasts on what should you pay yourself as an owner and what should that look like. Many times business owners go through and they may have a salary within their business, but then they're taking draws out of the business, and essentially they're not leaving any money left in their business to be able to properly cultivate that business and properly invest into themselves and invest in the business. So the budget should include your salaries. It should include your operational cost. It should include your inventory needs, and also it should include some planned expansion and scaling if that's what you're doing. In my accounting firm right now, we are scaling and scaling quickly. So we modified our budget here a few months ago, knowing that we're going to need to invest more money in the business for scaling here over the coming months. So the budget should include those particular areas. Your budget should also include some giving. In this particular room that I was in this past week, the number one purpose overall for that group is really the cause. I think it was about 6 months ago in that room, I saw it was I don't know, maybe 60, 70 people raised about $120,000, $130,000 in less than 10 minutes for a cause. This last time around, it was over across 3 different causes. I think it was in excess of $50,000 raised quickly. There was a cause there. And you know what? Because we had money budgeted in our budget, I was able to go and to be able to contribute and to be a part. So there should be a cause within your business that you're contributing to. I think that cause will also help with the fulfillment piece in your business as well, outside of just a satisfaction that maybe you achieved some financial goals. So you're budgeting for your operation cost, your inventory needs, your planned expansion or scaling within your business. You are budgeting and planning to give, but you should also have a savings element in your business. So businesses go through cycles. Statistics tell us that 80% of businesses fail within the first 3 to 5, and 80% of the remaining businesses will fail by year 10. So if your business makes it to 10 years, you are in the top 4%. If you're listening to this podcast and your business has lasted that long, fortunately, my core business has. I've had other businesses that have not lasted 10 years. And so a majority of businesses, 96% of them will fail within the first 10 years. So, a successful business will plan and they will save because they know that there are times that the business may not be as good as it is now. Okay, over the last couple years and during the pandemic, there have been a lot of businesses that have thrived and done very well. There are other businesses that have collapsed and have really struggled during this time. And so to plan for those downturns and to make sure that you have some money there to kind of help push you through those difficult times. So you're as part of your financial plan, you're budgeting, you're saving, you're giving, and then you also have that investment piece. And so that is going through, and what you're doing is you're going to consume some of the fruit. You have to be able to operate your business. You're going to give some of that fruit away. Now, sometimes that may be monetarily. Other times, and I think maybe it should include both, is you're investing in others. Maybe you're mentoring some people, coaching some people, bringing some people along with on the journey to show others this is how you do business. This is how you invest in a business. This is how you grow a business. Help develop their skills and allow for them to take some of that fruit and take some of the seeds and plant it. But also, you need to make sure you're saving some of it, and then also taking those seeds and investing as well. And so you're investing in your business, but also you're investing outside of your business. As Dan Fleischman, when he spoke last week, he had percentages as far as on how to allocate in the investment piece. So depending on how aggressive you are, you may go through and you may say, okay, I'm willing to take 50% of my money and invest it in an aggressive way. But to make sure that you're taking the money and investing it wisely, depending on where you're at in your stage of life and your stage of business and your comfort level as it relates to risk. So I think just a little bit of common sense, hopefully some common sense direction here, and encouragement to make sure that you're managing the finances within your business well. that you do have a budget that you're operating within, that you're paying yourself what you need to pay yourself in the business. You're not tempted to take a bunch of money out of the business. You're paying yourself a reasonable salary out of your business, that you are saving, that you are giving, and that you are investing within your business. And then also, if you're investing in others, maybe you take some of that money and maybe you're helping other startups, doing those types of things, to making sure that you have a plan there as well, and that you're operating within a comfort level as it relates to your risk. Hopefully this particular podcast brought you value. If you haven't already, I would ask you to consider subscribing. Leave us a review if you'd like. And look forward in the coming weeks as we will be doing some interviews in the coming weeks. And I know that those particular podcasts will bring you value as well. Thank you for listening. Once again, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Have a wonderful day.